Awesome. It's go time.
Let's do it.
Welcome everyone to the Beck and Laura who've joined us live, and anybody that's watching this back later or listening to the podcast recording. It's great to have you here. We'll kick off. We'll start off just grounding, getting into the space, letting go of everything that's happened in our day. If you're on one side of the world, or about to happen in our day on this side of the world where I am. So if you can, pop your feet on the ground, just settle in, stand still or sit still if you can, shut your eyes, feel into your body, feel into your feet on the floor, and take a nice big breath down into your belly. And as you do this, just have a think about where you're at today. We're going to have a really great conversation today about you and investing in yourself. And just by listening to this podcast or video recording, or being here live, even better, you have already begun to invest in yourself. So as you breathe in and out, just feel that investment filling you up. Feel the fact that you've given yourself a beautiful gift of time today. And notice how that makes you feel. Take a moment to appreciate that time that you're giving yourself. And feel every cell in your body relax a little bit, knowing that you've given it some love, given it some care, and given it some investment. And know that just by doing that, you've changed the course of your day just that little bit more towards a future that you want to create. And on the next inhale in, breathe in another investment that you want to make into yourself, a dream that you have, and feel that settle into your cells. And know that just by thinking that thought, you've taken a step in that direction. And take a moment to feel into how you are right now compared to how you were just a few moments ago, before you took the time to consciously think about the fact that you're investing in yourself. And that with every breath you take for the next hour, you are taking a little step closer to a future that you have now taken control of creating consciously in a way that you want to create it. And feel the power of that. Feel the power of being in control of steering your future. Really breathe into that. Let it put a smile on your face. And when you're ready, have a bit of a wriggle, open your eyes, and we'll get started. Welcome. So to kick off, let me introduce our Masterclass guest for today, Traver Boehm.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Becca.
You're welcome. So Traver is a writer, a coach. He's the founder of the Uncivilized Men's Movement, He's marrying the primal with the divine and is on a mission to change 1 million men's lives. Just a tiny dream that he's moving towards. He also happens to be my personal coach for the last 3 months and has taken me on a little bit of a ride, which we'll talk about today. And I'm Rebecca Freeman. I am also a coach and a writer, and I am on a mission to start a rebellion of no bullshit, all soul. I'm out to create a team of warriors who face, own, and embrace their truth, no matter what, for success in themselves and for the world. So today we are going to talk a little bit about investing in yourself. And we're going to share some stories about how we've invested in ourselves, both through coaching and just in life in general. So Traver, I'm going to hand over to you, and I would love for you to kick off with your thoughts on investing in yourself. What comes to mind?
There's a barrier to entry. I think for no matter what we want to do, there's a barrier to entry, right? I talk to a lot of people about quitting drinking and say, guess what? The life you've always wanted, this thing that's been just outside of your grasp, the barrier to entry to getting it is giving up drinking for a lot of people. I think also for the barrier to entry to massive change quickly is coaching, because it's taking the reliance upon yourself, which guess what? We're sneaky as hell. So we'll figure out ways to not do it. I wouldn't say lazy, but we're sometimes less motivated than when someone else is kicking us in the ass. And we're super crafty. So we'll rub up against whatever it is that you want to build, you're going to rub up against your own edge, period.
Yeah.
Period, fucking period. Like, oh, here's my edge. And for most people, that's when they fall apart, or that's where they stop, or that's where they get stuck, or they circle here, right? This is the I'm stuck conversation, right, that we have with our clients, which is you're not stuck. There's a doorway right there that has pain this way written on it, and you don't want to go through it. So you're just looking around everywhere like, where's the other door that says super easy, I don't really have to do anything, but I'll still get new results? That door. And I can't find it. But I may spend months and years people spend looking for it. How many people do you know that, this is one of my favorites, that go like, I want to write a book. I'm like, awesome. I've written 2. Start writing. Well, like, what's your like pre-writing process? Coffee, bathroom, typewriter, or, computer. That's it. Well, what are you like? What about, no. Yeah. Now let's talk about where you're rubbing up against. What are you really afraid of? So to me, I invest in time, really. All the stuff that I've taught you, all the stuff you teach your clients, all the stuff that my coaches teach me, I can find out. I have a library card. I have Google. I can figure it out. And I want to take that 5-year process and condense it down into 3 months. So I've hired coaches who are like, hey, I don't have time and energy and motivation to learn all the shit that you know and to go through all the trial and error that you went through, which was the real education. So I'll pay for you to shorten my timeline. I think that's what, if we want to make really big moves and get and accomplish massive things that are way outside of our comfort zone, we need people. We just do, Becca. Like I know it's not a sales pitch, but I tell people all the time, if you could have done it on your own, you would have.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's kind of a dickish thing to say, but like it's true. Right? What happens is you ran into your own edge and you stopped. Something got hard and it stopped. And I saw this in my first year of business over and over and over and over with technology. I'd be like, oh, I don't know how to get this email funnel set up. I'm out.
Yeah.
And then I hired a coach who was like, no, sit down, shut your mouth, and let's figure it out together. And I was like, literally like eyes wide, panicking, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. Like, I didn't ask if you wanted to do it. Do it. And then it took an hour.
Yeah.
What was 3 months of me being like, God, if I could ever get that sales funnel figured out, somehow magically the stars just aligned and it took care of itself by itself, then I would move forward. So I'm a huge fan of investing, and I've had coaches since I was 20. And it came from my background was all athletics, from collegiate athletics to professional athletics. And guess what? I could have figured jiu-jitsu out on my own, maybe with like YouTube and about 60 years, or for, $250 a month, I could go join a jiu-jitsu gym and have a guy be like, this is where you screwed up. Don't do that again. Oh, what do you know? And just took that same mentality into every other area of my life. I want to be a black belt in business, in relationship, in the bedroom, on stage, in the gym, everywhere. So I hire black belt coaches, people who have far more experience than me and are willing to say, hey, here's the rookie mistake you're about to make. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm different. Here's the rookie mistake you just made. Fuck, I didn't see that coming. Right? Over and over and over and over again. That's how it works. Yeah. Huge fan. I think everyone should do it. Not just because I'm a coach. I tell people, like, I can see where you're struggling. Do you know why? Because I've had 500 of these exact same conversations in my career. Just like when I go to the doctor, not only does he analyze from his textbook, but he goes, you know what? I've had about 200 people that came in and said the exact same thing. So I think it's this. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. And look, if we're going to talk personal stories today, I can remember when the day I decided to hire you as a coach. I'd actually been actively coaching for about 3 years, and then playing around with it a little bit before then. And I was at the point where I'm like, this is happening too slow. I knew I had 12 months to really crank my business, and it was happening too slow. So what you were just saying about time, that for me was the driver. I was like, I'm running out of time to make this work. And so I was like, I need to get help. And so the first thing I did was going, and I'd had coaches before, and they'd really helped me around being a coach. What I needed now was somebody who was going to help me find my niche, which like when we talk about what happened, that's, success. I picked the right coach, right? And so I can remember the day I decided to hire you, and I sent you the email saying, yeah, I'm in. I had a look, and it was like a light bulb had gone off. I frantically got my website and shut it down because I did not want you to see it, because it was covered in floral dresses out in the forest, being some like divine goddess, because that was the image that I had given myself, because that was what I thought I needed to train myself as. And I just felt so much shame around it because it was out of alignment with my integrity. Like it wasn't who I was. And I didn't want you to see it. So it was like a light bulb went off instantly. Like when I was looking for my niche, my entire branding was wrong. And so it started before we even had our first call. So, and then what came next in that next call was, all the wishy-washy language I was using, because I didn't really have clarity over what it was that I was trying to achieve, and just your expertise at being able to cut through all of that bullshit and get the clarity of what I was about like that instantly was so valuable. Absolutely petrifying though, because like I will say, like, if we shift the conversation now into like what happens if you do step through the door and you end up investing in yourself and committing to investing in yourself, is you don't know what comes next, right? So it's that fear of the unknown. So if I shut down my website and all of my beautiful branding of the floral goddess, what did I become? Like, I didn't know. And I just had to trust that that would come as the process went along.
And you have to believe that there is a process, right? I went through the exact same thing. I remember hiring a coach, and I don't know if I've shared this story with you. He made me shoot a video of what are the 3 things you're going to do with your business. And I was like, okay, at the time I was doing Year to Live project work and working with people who are getting divorced. And I had like one other, I was like, oh, I may write a second book, and I'm going to add a 4th thing here just for shits and giggles. If I have any spare time, I'm going to work with men. And he was like, interesting. Okay. And for 2 months, I kind of floundered. And then he brought back up, in your initial video, you talked about this. Like, tell me more about that. And I was like, just got all lit up. And he's like, this is the most excited I've ever seen you. And I went, yeah, but I can't do that because that's only half the population. So like, I can't cut out half the population. And like, that's business suicide. I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge you on that because you just handed me some bullshit story, which is really fear of stepping into a space that you're going to have to lead men, talk to men, and potentially not, and this is, I know we can talk about, I mean, potentially not date your clients. Which is like, oh, you're right. I've been surrounded by women my entire career. Now I'm just going to work with guys. Interesting. This is so unknown. And it was the exact edge that you went through.
Yeah.
Right. That I actually talked to a guy when I first launched it. And I spent the next it was the night before I launched my business as Man Uncivilized, and was going, hey guys, guess what? I'm primarily working with, and this is the beauty of it, I'm only working with men. And just as a side note, in the next week, my female clientele doubled.
Yeah.
Just let that be a little lesson in scarcity. And I told someone, I'm going to just work with guys. And he explained to me what could happen to my life as a spokesman for men in a time when it's not really popular to be a spokesman for men, and the global level of the shift that could take place after I explained my mission. And I spent the next 24 hours in bed with the covers pulled over going, I'm not doing this. Like, no way am I doing this. Like, this is death. This is social death. Like, people are going to hate you. You're just fucking yourself. Don't do it. And then went, you know what? I can't not do this. It's the most confronting thing I can find. God damn it. Like, literally, someone has a sick sense of humor. Okay, I'll do it. And in that decision, boom, just like you, within 2 months, I had a PR agent and an assistant and a website and more calls than I knew what to do with, and was asked to speak at TED and was starting to write another. I was like, oh, that coach just pulled me through that huge fear chasm of the one thing I was so afraid to do that I put it fourth on the list, but it was the one thing in my heart over and over and over. You know, I gave a talk 10 years ago on what's wrong with men for Toastmasters, and took it through like a competition series. Like, it was in there 10 years ago, and then was like, no, it's fine. Leave that to people who don't mind nasty emails and getting pooped on social media. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So you get it, right? Like the walking through the fire.
Yeah. And that is, I think, a really important thing. So from a coach's perspective, the clients that aren't scared to face their fears are the ones that, like, we get really excited about, because there's that point, right, where you go, oh, yay, they're getting really afraid. Like, let's do it. So can you talk me through, so for those of you listening and watching, my journey working with Traver is that we got really crystal clear on what it was I wanted to do. And as I said at the start of the call, I wanted people to help face their own truth no matter what. Now, this theme also then played out for me personally as well, because we got about 2 months through my coaching, and Traver sent me a message that basically had me in tears. I wanted to punch him in the face, but he lives on the other side of the world. I'm pretty sure I rang up a couple of girlfriends and said he was an asshole a few times. Like, I for 2 days, I had to go through this massive process because he triggered my absolute biggest fear. Do you remember what that message was, Traver?
Yeah. What do you think about working with moms?
Yeah. And that sent me into a spin. Because Laura's just popped back on her video so that I can see her facial reaction. That, for me, was part of my biggest wound. So I had been through a 7-year journey of breaking out of a life where I got completely swallowed up in motherhood and had lost all these other parts of myself, and then had spent 7 years clawing back all the other bits of myself. And instead of, at the time, like, I look at it now and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm such an idiot. But instead of looking at that as all this wisdom that I had to share, I just looked at it as this personal journey that I had to go through to become some amazing, super person living my dream. And I didn't want to go back to being labeled as the mum lady. So that text message, which was all of 5 words or whatever, brought back up this, no, I do not want this label of being the mum lady. But as I went through the 2 days and was supported by my coach, who I hated at the time, to go, oh, actually, I have a huge amount of knowledge and skill, and this is a huge issue in the world. So, like, you know, we see all the memes with the the little circle diagrams, and they're like, this is your passion, and this is your purpose, and this is what the world wants, and this is the bit in the middle. Like, that model fitted what I had discovered, and it was about me pushing through my own resistance and my own fear around that to get to the point where I was like, holy shit, I could actually make a difference in the world. And all I've got to do is, like, take it on board, not run away from it anymore, not look for another door that's going to be like a lot easier and I'm not going to have to look at my past. And as soon as I'd got through that process, I think I messaged you back and I went, okay. My best one was, oh, no way. And then my next one was, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
there was some impoliteness before the okay. Yeah.
And like that whole process is what, when you find that thing in a client, it's so beautiful to be able to hold the space for them to go through that in, like, for you it was 24 hours, for me it was 48 hours. If you find that on your own in life and you push through it, it can take years, because you'll be backing away from it, you'll be running away from it, you'll be numbing it, you'll be hiding from it, you'll be distracting yourself from it. Whereas if you've got a coach to be accountable to, you just sit there with it until it washes through you and moves through you, and then you get the, all right, here I am, and this is what I do. So now I'm founding the Whole Woman Motherhood movement, and and running a kick-ass Lioness program at the moment, and doing some pretty crazy things in my personal life to live that truth. Like, I'm not just preaching it, but I'm going to be practicing it in a pretty extreme way over the next 6 to 12 months. So, I think that's, if anybody out there is at that point where they're butting up against that edge that we've just been talking about, and that pressure point, and they're starting to back away, Traver and I have both got stories where dive in, feel the pain, sit in it, and see what comes out of it. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's such a cliche universal truth, isn't it? Like, I hate that it's the darkest before the dawn, or I even use it as part of my ethos that your greatest gifts lie in the gardens of your wounds. Like, look back at your life, and if we look back, it was written all over you. It was written all over me too. Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, it's just so scary. And I think just even to give people some context that it was hell. It was not fun. It may not be fun. It may be your absolute worst fears come to life. And yet there is another side to them. There is the passage through. And so many people eject halfway. Like, oh, it's uncomfortable. It's getting really uncomfortable. This must mean I need to pull the ripcord. Yeah. I think something else about coaching too is being around people who go, yeah, I've been there. And by the way, everybody I hang out with, they've been there too. And everybody that we work with, they've been there too, or they're going through it. And now I can see exactly where people are in the process and get the hit of like, oh, I know where you are. Yeah. And it's terrifying right now, isn't it? You're bumping up against everything. You're bumping up against your social conditioning, your family conditioning, all the things. I have family members that don't speak to me because of what I do. And I have to ask myself, like, is the mission and the purpose bigger than that relationship, or will that relationship come back around at some point? But that's real for people. Yeah. Right? The passage through is real.
And I think the other thing, so like if you look at, if we bring it back to this whole investing in yourself bit, and by investing, let's just say, like, you're paying somebody to coach you through a phase in your life to get a result. Right? Let's put it in that context. The other thing that you're also doing is you're not only are you receiving the support to go through that, but you're receiving a different lens. Like, you're paying for a different lens. So and it's a neutral lens. So as a coach, yes, you care about your clients and, you're there to help them get their objectives, but you're able to be neutral in that space. So for you didn't take my anger or, all of my wounding that came up personally. You're able to sit in that and just hold space for that and let it flow. Like, it's not personal for you. If I'd had that reaction to a friend who'd said the same thing, well, you're damaging the friendship, you're causing more wounding. So, that's a really important part of the investment as well, I think, is that you're getting this different lens and you're getting this neutral person to hold space and actually give you some truth, because they don't have, at the end of the day, any attachment to what you decide to do or don't do. So for you, if I turn around and said, I'm not going to do it, that's not going to, you don't have a personal attachment to that. Like, it's my choice and you can just hold the space for it. Mm-hmm. The other thing is the choices that I'm making now in regards to my coaching business and what I'm doing with my life and following the threads that have come out from this movement. People don't agree with it because their lens of motherhood is their lens of motherhood. And I am fundamentally creating a new lens of motherhood, or a different way of looking at motherhood. And so that creates resistance in other people who are mothers or who have been through motherhood, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. So this is the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because a lot of people were surprised that I picked you to be my coach at the time that I did. Like, so why did somebody who was predominantly working with women, who at the time was branded very feminine, choose like somebody whose livelihood is around masculinity and creating like this primal and divine man as my coach? Like, the two of us didn't look like we matched on the surface, but what I knew I needed was somebody who was going to be able to I didn't need somebody to support my feelings. I needed somebody to be that masculine driving action energy in my life and let me be the feminine as I explored my business. So and I picked you for that reason. I picked you because you were the scariest person I could find, to be perfectly honest. Like, that's what I needed. And for people at home who are considering and investing in themselves, find the person that makes you feel the most uncomfortable, because they've got the most to teach you. I don't know how you feel about that statement, Traver, but for me, that's always worked. Because what I'm doing then is facing my biggest fears, not playing with the little ones and thinking I'm doing a great job because I'm not struggling so much. But for me, I'm all in. So for me, it was like, where does my biggest fear lie in life? And for me, it was like working with a really healthy masculine person who was going to push me and press all my, trigger buttons and really get me where I needed to go, was exactly the right coach for me at the time.
Amazing. So, yeah, I agree with you. I spent upwards of $45,000 in the last 2 years on coaching. And that's a shit ton of money.
Yeah, let's
talk about that. That is a lot of dollars, and that's US dollars. It's a lot of money. And yet I can go back to how many times, and I have one female coach and a male coach, and I picked them because they had different skill sets. And it was actually the woman who would challenge me over and over and over and over and over again on, what if your message was more, not abrasive, but what if it was just more unapologetic? What if you pissed more people off? And I'm not trying to say that I just threw out negativity or stuff that was triggering. It was, what if you were so unapologetic about speaking the truth that, and you didn't care, and actually I'm not going to say you didn't care. You worked through caring what other people thought about that. And it was her challenge to start a podcast, to start doing Zoom calls, to build, to do retreats, to do workshops, all of these things, Becca, that were on paper. I could write them on a piece of paper and be like, I want to have this vision. I want to have this thing. And she would say, okay, so what are you going to do today? I'm like, I don't know, look at the piece of paper and hope that these things manifest. And she would poke me and poke me and poke me. And the guy was super helpful with structure, with, hey, this leads to that. You need to build this way, set your business up this way. But predominantly now I have probably 50-50 male, female clients. And what's interesting is with the female clients, it is that deep masculine, hey, get this done. I need you to get this done by tomorrow. I want a picture of it, and then we're going to move forward. With the men, it's, hey, I want you to try to feel this. Tell me how you feel. It's actually bringing in an aspect of the feminine with them. What if you were an artist? What if you were creative? What if you felt more, etc.? But the investment, to go back to, I've gotten that money back 10 times over. And I know if we look at, it's hard to, for people who are listening to this at home, when you have two lines that are parallel and then they'd start to diverge just a little bit on an angle, take that out 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. That's when you've made a huge difference, right? I didn't see for the first 6 months of my business this massive increase in revenue. And I was super frustrated. I was like, hey, I've been doing this for 6 months. Like, where's the fucking money? Like, you're building a foundation that 5 years from now is going to make you millions. So calm down, keep doing the work, and know that businesses that don't have this foundation don't make it to the 2-year mark. And then let it come, and then let it come, and then let it come. And I've watched the different gradient points of, oh, okay, cool. None of that would have worked if I hadn't started the podcast. The podcast led me to this person led me to that person. That person gave me 4 new clients. That was $20,000. Okay, beautiful. This person led to that person. This led to that activity that they wanted me to go do. Oh, that led to 3 clients. That was $15,000. Oh, wow. Okay. If I was just here trying to make this shit up as I went, it would be a disaster. It would have no structure. It would be like, because really, what do you do? Is for people who are listening, who have any kind of fitness background, it's like, what do you do when you go to the gym? You do all the shit you're good at and all the shit you like. What do you do when you hire a coach? Like, you do all the shit you're not good at and all the stuff you don't like.
Yeah.
And what's the stuff you really need? It's all the shit you don't like and all the shit you're not good at. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Now I get why the investment comes in. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get like that. Money triggers people and they go, wait a minute. For most of us, that's a lot. $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 is a crap load of money. And yet I challenge my own clients. Like, how much did you spend on bar tabs last year? Mm. Oh, you're like $1,000 a month at the bar. That's 12 grand. Cool. What's that gotten you? Okay. 1 DUI and a fight. Awesome. And some memories that you don't really remember. Okay, cool. What if you put that into building this business that you've been talking about since you were 25, but here we are 15 years later and it hasn't happened. And you're at that point where I believe, Becca, I don't know if ideas have a longevity period. Mm-hmm. Like at some point, like we drop ideas because they've outlived their window. And yet how many of us have lost ideas because the window just closed? And the timing wasn't right. We didn't have the energetic capital to fund it. We got 2 steps in, realized, holy shit, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought, and then slowly backed out. So making an investment like this is one, it's stake in the ground, right? The very first coach I hired, I had to borrow the money.
Yeah.
And I told myself, I told him, I will literally do everything you tell me. If you're like, I want you to do a handstand until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, like, boop, I'm out, I'm doing it. If you want me to write 5,000 words a day, I remember he did. He's like, I want you to start posting to Instagram 3 times a day. And I was like, I can't do that, man. Like, why not? I was like, because I'm going to annoy people. And he goes, what if the difference between you making $12,000 a year and you making $150,000 a year is annoying people? I went, oh, shit. He's like, because I know people who post 20 times a day. And they probably annoy people. And they're also running 7-figure businesses. So what if that's the only difference? Oh, and then we got to the next thing that I was like, I can't do that, man. That's going to X, Y, Z. And he's like, well, what if that's the only difference between a $150,000 business and a $300,000 business? Would you do it then? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. And it was this duality of I'll do anything you tell me except the stuff I'm uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
And then when I realized, like, I paid you, okay,
yeah,
I'll do it.
So let's talk about that, because 2 things I know that both you and I would hear a lot is I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear what you've got to say around the sentence, I can't afford it.
Okay.
And the other thing I want to talk to you about is value for money, because the other thing that, you hear is you're very expensive. So a couple of things that just came up for you there was this stake in the ground thing, like I've paid you, so I will do it. And I think that is something around, like, because we're talking about investing in yourself, for me, that for those two questions is I can't afford it is, I know that you say this as well, and I do as well, is can you afford not to? And I'll go back to that whole, like, I had been a coach for 3 years before I employed you, and my business has grown more in 3 months than it had in 3 years. I wish I'd employed you 3 years ago. Because then there's also this, you told me to do stuff I really didn't want to do, but I paid you and I wanted to get value for money. So I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Right.
So please expand on that a bit.
Sure. Here's the initial conversation that we all have with coaching clients. It's just worded differently. I have this conversation with every new client, usually about, I say week 1, and it's, hey, you're going to have to actually do the work to get the results. Paying me doesn't actually give you the results. And here's what you're asking, what you're trying to figure out in 55 sneaky different ways. How do I not do anything different and do all the things that I'm comfortable with, but get this brand new result? Right? So my background was in fitness. Anytime someone was like, hey, are you sure I can't drink in a weight loss program? Like, that was it. That was the question. And so for people to say, I can't afford it, I love 2 questions. And I've been there. Is it true? Is it true that you can't afford it? Right? Because it's $5,000. Yeah, it's what I charge. It's a lot of money. How much did you spend last year on other stuff? Is there a way to cut $400 a month? Is there a way to borrow it? And do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in this idea? Do you want to put your head on the pillow at the end of your life and go, you know what I really wish I'd done? I really wish I'd started that men's movement. I really wish I'd started that mom's movement. And not just so I could have that legacy, because I wanted to go on that trip. I wanted to wake up and go, man, this life is now the craziest, most wild, authentic, exuberant, exasperating, confronting, awful, incredible ride of my life. I'll pay for that. Yeah. Right? So is it true you can't, or is it that you don't see the value in it? Okay, that means maybe the coach hasn't explained, hey, here's what you're going to get out of it. Do you not see the value in getting that out of it? And then what you can build on that foundation, right? So I worked with you for 3 months. What can you now do with that foundation? Yeah. You can build an empire. You're building an empire. You can build a movement. You can change society forever. You can shift the collective consciousness, which is all great and fuzzy-duzzy, but you can also get fucking paid for it. Paid a lot for it, right? In one workshop, you should make more than what you paid me. But yet if there's not the foundation and the clarity of the vision and the conversation and the culture and all of the shit that you don't want to do on your own because it's not sexy, then you have no foundation upon which to throw a workshop or to talk to people. And you're going to keep playing small. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Right? Where I have a coach who say, yeah, I hope I get 5 people at my event. And they're like, that's bullshit. You're going to shoot for 50 now. And then like the little light bulb goes off. It's like, oh yeah, why can't I get 50? Yeah. Oh, you're going to have to do all the things you don't want to do to get 50. Damn it. Okay, cool. But at the event, I made $10,000. Wow. There's the initial fee to my coach. Done. Yeah. Right. So there's a leap of faith, because also, Becca, that people are thinking so often conventionally. We've been brought up that you get a job, that job pays you. What they don't realize about entrepreneurship in this space is that it's going to cost you there's a barrier to entry to learn the things that we're going to teach you in a condensed format. Right? And when I talk to guys, especially, I'm like, you know what the last 4 years of my life have been? They have been workshops. They have been coaching. They have been therapy. They have been a month in a fucking pitch black room. They have been an outdoor survival course. They have been every course you can think of, 50 books, audiobook every time I'm in the car, podcast, interview, you name it. I'm going to condense all of that knowledge down to about $5,000 for you. Or you can spend the next 5 years and the $250,000 that I did and hope that you have the same understanding. Also, I'm going to bring in my entire background. So I'm not just bringing from 2016 forward. You're going to get an acupuncturist. You're going to get a bodyguard. You're going to get a CrossFit coach. You're going to get a failed chocolate entrepreneur. You're going to get all of these things that are my past. Yeah. I started a chocolate company that took traditional Chinese herbs and infused them in chocolate. And it was wildly successful. We had herbs for erectile dysfunction, PMS, female libido, stress, and concentration, and all in chocolate. And you know why the company failed? It had no foundation. It was just like chase idea after idea after idea. Oh yeah, well, it's just like chasing squirrels.
Yeah.
If I could go back now and do it, it would be a home run. But at the time, it was my limiting set of understanding and beliefs versus the market.
Yeah. And that lesson in itself is a tool that you can now use with your clients, because failure 100%. Is the best teacher ever. So the other thing I was talking about, mental blank, it was so I can't afford it, and the other one was
the return on the investment.
Return on your investment, yeah.
Right, which we can go numerically, right? So I want you to make back what you've paid me before our time is up, or I'll stay with you until you've made back what I paid you. And then we go, I also want you to figure out how much can you make next year? Because this is where it gets interesting. Businesses that are set up with a proper foundation, where the person has also done the work. So it's not just the business, but the human, because you are the business. At 3 months, you've just gone through boot camp. It's just like drinking out of a fire hose that's on full blast. And then here we are. Oh, now you've got your rhythm. Now you found your niche, right? Now you have a couple different mechanisms. You've got a one-on-one coaching program. You've got a group coaching program. You've got workshops. Okay, guess what year one is going to be? Year one is going to be those three. Guess what year two is going to be? Workshops that you've already done, workshops with more people, bigger groups, larger groups, more expensive one-on-one clients. Oh, guess what year three is going to be? You may even drop one-on-one. I'm planning to drop one-on-one coaching at the end of this year, or charge people just it's $20,000 to work with me, because I can make so much more money doing these other programs that don't take my one-on-one time. Yeah. So yes, you want to get a return. That's not just time and feel good. And now that you have a vision, you have some clarity, but it's actually money in your pocket. But two, think out, like if you're in this game for a while, like I'm in this for the next 40 years, this is what I'm going to do on some capacity. This is what it's going to be. So an investment today, I'm going to draw that same thing. Like over time, that's just going to go up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah. And I'm going to talk as well around investing in yourself, not in relation to financial return, but just in general life return, and the way you live your life, because that's something that I got out of working with you that was really unexpected for me and has just come up this last few weeks. So, and because not all people get coaches for a business purpose, some of them get them for personal reasons as well. So if we're talking about getting coaching or investing in yourself through coaching or group programs or workshops, or however you are paying to get some knowledge back for yourself personally rather than to build a business, I just want to speak to your return on investment in that. So for me, what I paid you to help me build my business, but I've also obviously been on quite a personal journey through facing this motherhood thing. And for me personally, in the last 2 weeks, I've actually got to the point where my business, I thought I had 12 months to build it up to the financial position where I wanted it to be to financially support me and my 3 children. And I've actually lost 6 months of that time. So my personal circumstances have changed, and I personally don't have 12 months anymore. In fact, I've got 2. Now, from the personal journey I've been on through clarifying what it is I'm passionate about and what I want to achieve, and for getting that real solid foundation that you're talking about around what I'm about, what I'm building, what I want to do with my business and my coaching business, and how I want to do it and who I want to be in that business, I now have the personal strength to be able to make some pretty extreme life decisions, but based on purely on my own thoughts and feelings around that, and not be influenced by other people's thoughts and feelings. So I'm actually moving overseas for 6 months, leaving my children behind and going to live in Mexico, where it is substantially cheaper, and I can continue to build my business for 6 months and continue to build this movement that I've created. And I know in myself that I have the skills to make it work, that I have the determination, and I'm willing to do what it takes to make it happen. So I'm living my truth no matter what. I also know that I can be a really good mother still in that situation, that the way I mother and the way that I am as a mother isn't going to be affected by that decision. Now, if this situation had come up 3 months before, or before I started working with you, I wouldn't have been able to make this decision, because I wouldn't have had the clarity around what I was building to be able to make that decision. So for those people who are looking at investing in themselves for personal reasons, yes, you might come with that personal reason that you want to invest in and solve, but the coach that helps you, supports you in that, is actually giving you skills that are transferable to a whole other range of your life that you can implement in many, many different situations. So if you're getting a coach around relationship stuff, the stuff that you learn in that relationship coaching is directly transferable to business situations. It's transferable to, work situations. It's transferable to social situations, or just to you yourself, how you live your day-to-day life. You might be investing in yourself for a specific reason, but that investment is exponentially transferred to other areas of your life. And so in a business context, investing in yourself and seeing an increase in profit is one thing, but if you're investing in yourself personally, you're going to see a transfer of what you learn into so many different areas of your life, which might not be the original reason that you decided to invest in yourself in the first place. And I think that's just a really good thing to highlight.
Yeah, it's oftentimes not the original. I always am curious of what's the real reason they've come? And it usually takes a week or two. It's that I really want to write a book. What was that? I'm sorry, say that out loud. And you made a great point. I think we because I've worked with you on business was just the vehicle.
Yeah.
But it was really the you that went through this huge transformation. And I was just actually looking up at my own coaching board of clients, and I have a guy that's working on masculinity, a woman that's setting up a business, another guy that's coming out of 2 guys coming out of a divorce, a guy that's having trouble with having sex with his wife. His wife is a client, a woman who just went through a breakup, another guy who's retired and doesn't know what to do for the next 15 years, and then 4 people in the Man Uncivilized program that aren't actually business clients. So I actually have fewer business clients than I do business clients. It's just a vehicle. But the way I approach business clients is the same way as someone coming out of a divorce. What is it that you want to do?
Yeah.
What is it that you want to build? Or for women, what is it that you want to birth?
Yeah.
What is getting in your way? And trust me, it's you. And I don't mean to say this shamefully. You're getting in your way.
Yeah.
Your story, your patterning, your habits, your limiting beliefs, your self-esteem, your relationships. It's all about you. That's the mind fuck of even starting a business or writing a book or learning jujitsu or learning to dance. It's you that's going to get in your own way. It's no different than building a business. You're right. It's the patterning. And how much different do you feel just as a human now?
Oh,
do you have more joy? Do you have more confidence?
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. And like I tell people, I've never been happier in my life ever than I am right now. And that is a direct result of investing in myself. direct result of investing in myself. So for people that are thinking about personal development investment, you know, if it helps you get over your fear of spending money on yourself, if you have a block around that initially, and your coach will help you with that, but initially consider yourself your business. Like people don't seem to have money investing into business. So consider yourself a business, because, you know, you are at the core of everything you do anyway. You can't ever not include you in what you're doing. So that is the number one takeaway. If people could take away anything from this this recording, I would love for them to take away for the fact that investing in yourself, whether it's for business or personal or whatever, it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever you are spending money on, the reason that you're spending money on, you're actually spending money on yourself. So you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you will be spending money on yourself, and you are always worth spending that money on.
100%. And no matter what the coaching is, it's going to be about the individual, because at the end of the day, it's that individual that has to launch the business, write the book, just decide that. I told you I have a guy who's retired who we made him go on vacation. It was the first time in 45 years he's gone on vacation. Can you believe he had to pay me to make him go on vacation? When people hear that, they're like, their minds bend. But his patterning and his belief was he's not worth going on vacation. He's not allowed to spend that money on himself. He's worth millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yet something was stuck in his mind. And he came back a week ago and said, I love it. And now we've designed he wants to travel all of the coasts of the world in his life. He's going to try to hit all the coasts. I was like, how do you feel? I feel renewed. I feel re-engaged. I feel like I have a purpose now. I don't wake up with this crippling anxiety. And to me, that's infinitely better. Like the sentence you just said, I'm happier than I've ever been before. Beautiful. I'll take that. And let's be honest, your life is it's chaotic right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's chaos. And yet you have the confidence, you can sit there and say, and I know I can handle it. And I have the tools, the skills, the inner being, and someone made me do hard shit for 3 months in a row.
Yeah. And they were my exact words when I pitched to the people involved in my decision about moving overseas for 6 months. My children, their dad and their dad's partner, was that I think that I am worth investing this 6 months time in, because I believe in what I want to do in that time. That was the sentence that I wouldn't have been able to say prior to working with you and going through that process, that I was worth that time. So, and that was not what I came to you wanting. I wanted you to teach me how to make a kick-ass coaching business. So, you know, I added benefits. So there you go.
Yeah. I like to call them unintended consequences.
Yeah.
It's the unintended consequence, right? Like, and think of what the unintended consequence will be of your 6 months in Mexico.
That's right. And the flow on effect of that, and the where that takes me, and what I can then share from that. So yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
So just to finish up, because we're going to run out of time, Traver, tell me about. So we've talked about, you know, the results of investing in yourself. We've talked about, you know, the like how the dollar investment works when you invest in yourself. Just to wrap up, I want, if there was one thing that there is lots of people out there who are on the fence about whether they should or shouldn't invest in themselves. What is the one thing that you recommend that they go away and do today towards making a decision around investing in themselves? Today, like immediately, like they listen to this, they turn it off.
Yeah.
What's one way that they can go away and invest in themselves right now? So say they want to get a coach, but they don't have the $5,000, or they you know, want to join a program, but they haven't found the right one. What is the one thing that you recommend that they do right now when they finish listening to this, that is a step in the right direction towards investing in themselves?
I'm going to give them two things. The first is answer that question. What is it costing you not to do it? Just be honest, because then at least you're making the decision from that point of honesty. Right? To me, before I hired my first coach, I asked myself, what is it costing me not to live this way? And what is it costing me not to put this out in the world? And it was truly a sense of, I don't feel alive. And I don't want to keep living in this way. That's not me fully expressed. I'm maybe a little extreme, but that to me was like a death. It was like a soul death. Right? So answer that question. What is it costing you not to do it? And then go out and do one thing. So I'm not going to give you the specific. It's write down, or I will give you some specifics. Fuck it, let's do it. Decide what this vision is that you want to create. What reality do you want to wake up into? And be honest and I tell people, be 50% reasonable. So I'm not going to write down like, next year I'm going to be the starting center on the Los Angeles Lakers basketball team. Like, it ain't happening. But I can wake up into a different reality than I am now. And then here's how you build momentum. You set a clock for 25 minutes, an alarm. Boom, hit start. For 25 minutes, you do nothing but take action towards that vision. Even if that's just, I want to live in a cleaner house. Then you know what? For 25 minutes, clean your damn house. I want to look better naked. You know what? For 25 minutes, do squats and push-ups and research getting a personal trainer. Do something, and then realize at the end of that 25 minutes, which wink, wink, most likely will turn into an hour and a half because you actually have started to do something. Ask yourself, how does it feel to be engaged in your own success personally, as opposed to waiting for that mythical day that the stars align, that you just wake up and everything, and someone comes, knocks on your door and goes, here you go. That just never comes. Take one step in the direction of your own dreams and then see how it feels, right? One of my mentors says, good, you've got one in a row. You got momentum. I'm like, oh, if I can get people to take one little step, and I'm talking a step, Becca. Most people go, so I'll get on the internet and I'll research it. No. You're allowed to do that later. You actually have to get up on your feet and walk your little ass somewhere and do some things that are part of building this vision. Even if it's writing something down, if it's drawing, if you can't see my office, but I have paper everywhere with ideas and sketches and pictures and all of the things that someone has made me do. And I'm surrounded by my own idea of what the vision is. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but figure out, what's it costing you?
Yeah.
Right? And this isn't about money, folks, because guess what? For an entire year of my life, you want to talk about an investment. I sold my business, I got divorced, and people said, start another business immediately, get another, you can find women in Los Angeles pretty easily, get married, pick up right where you left off. And I went, you know what? I'm going to spend an entire year investing in myself. And I'm going to live the entire year as if it was my last year alive.
Yeah.
For one reason.
Yeah.
I want to take that very last breath of my life full. I do not want to take that breath and go, God damn it, I wish I'd done that thing.
That is
you don't get to take any of this with you.
Yeah. I resonate with that so strongly. That was me. Everybody said, go get a 9-to-5 job and just start making money some other way. And I said, I do not want to die taking a breath, wondering if I quit 6 months too early. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I would add to that, the other thing that I would recommend that people do as soon as they finish listening to this is reach out to one person. There's thousands of people on the internet offering free advice. Traver and I are just two of them. Somebody that you have resonated with that writes a post that sparks something in you, write to them and tell them that resonated with you and see what you get back. Because what you've actually done there is face a little tiny fear in making contact, and you've taken a step towards somebody who has provided you with something and said to yourself, I'm worth investing in. So do that. The second you get off this recording, go and reach out to somebody who has sparked something in you and say hi.
Amazing. And what's happened from you doing that? I can tell you what's happened. I've got workshops this year with 3 people who I've reached out to on Instagram and went, I just love what you do.
Yeah.
That was it. No agenda, no Do you want to work together 2 years from now?
Yeah.
It was just, I love what you do. Thank you for doing it.
And do you know what? People that are giving out free stuff, they love to hear that. I do. I love to hear when people have resonated with a post and it's helped them in some way. So go and do it. Make a connection towards the dream that you have or the investment that you want to make in yourself in some way, shape or form. Mm-hmm. So to close off, I hope that everybody's taken something from all of that. It was a lot. We talked fast. So
this is what we do.
What we'll do, just to finish off, if everybody can come back to sitting or standing or wherever you are, if you can, shut your eyes again. I want you to take a breath in, feel into your belly. I want you to feel that little nugget of worth that's in there, and I want you to breathe into it and make it that little bit bigger. Take another breath and do the same again, a little bit bigger. And one more big breath in. Breathe into that nugget of worth that's in you and breathe into it until it starts to set on fire. Thank you, everybody, for joining and listening. If you are looking to find us online, you can find Traver on Instagram at Traver Boehm. He's got a website which is manoncivilized.com. Mm-hmm. You can find me at Rebecca Freeman Coaching or RebeccaFreemanCoaching.com. Traver and I both also have podcasts. Traver's is apparently the #1 podcast in the world.
Mine's the #1 live podcast. Live
podcast. Mine's probably at number 10, but that's in the future to sneak up and overtake him one day. We're all over the internet anyway. You can find us if you want us. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you, Traver. That was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
I've loved being able
and for trusting in me and for doing the work.
It was a great investment. I will say that.
I
got more than I bargained for, and
Amen.
It was good. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. Cheers. Take care.